Hey guys, the power went out at work. The power went out at work. I'm taking a shit at pitch black. Hey guys. Hey guys, the power went out at work. The power went out at work. I'm taking a shit at pitch black. Hey guys, it's really fucking scary. Hey guys, the power went out at work. The power went out at work. I'm taking a shit at pitch black. Hey guys. Hey guys, the power went out at work. The power went out at work. I'm taking a shit at pitch black. Hey guys, it's really fucking scary.
Here we are. Hello, internet friends. I am Ryan. This is After Dark. Hey guys. Well, tonight we may or may not have our friend Phillippe Herndon on from Caroline Guitar Company. He is not here yet. So that's okay because we have a lot of other really great people who showed up to talk to us tonight as well. So our regular panelist group, we have Sean from Mark Guitars.
From
We
Mark
have Mark-
Guitars.
We have Mark the Mac from
Mark
Psych-
from Mark Guitars.
I was reading ahead. Sometimes I think about things that I'm gonna say before I say them. We have Eddie from Blues Lawyer Memes, and we have a couple of our regulars who they're not on all the time, but they're always welcome to come on whenever. We have William Bennett the third, and our friend Megan L. Hello, guys. How are you?
Great.
Good. I think we should discuss renaming Sight Guitars Mark Guitars.
No, we'd name it Shark Guitars, if anything.
True.
I'm trying to think if there was anything major that happened last week, and I mean besides everything that happened last week. I was trying to think of anything major for us personally. This is sad, but my eldest pug, we are putting him down tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. And that he's to the point now where his back legs just aren't working. He just kind of drags them, and he's really uncomfortable. So, but like it's a weird thing because like I feel like that's a decision that we have to. That's one of the few decisions we have to make for them. Like they don't decide when it's time. Like we have to decide that, and that is just kind of a mind trip, if you will. But how about you, demo folks? Anything cool come through last week that you want to talk about?
Yeah, now that we've talked about life and death, you guys gonna demo any doohickeys?
Yeah. Sorry.
Is the overdrive transparent enough?
You're right.
Will it fill the gaping hole left in Ryan's?
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, this we've done this before, right? Our first dog was named Ringo, and then we got Starkey, so that was Richard Starkey, Ringo Starkey, right? Got it. So Ringo was my wife's dog, like for sure, and Starkey spent pretty much all of his days down here. So like every demo that I've ever filmed, there's a dog bed on the other side of my desk by the bass traps, and he would he just sat there until I went to bed, and then he would go to bed with me and something like that. So it's this one's a little bit harder for me, I think, than the first one, but we're feeling good about it. It's the right thing to do, and it's the right time, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be living like this anymore. And he's like drugged to the gills right now. Like when you call your vet and you're like, hey, you know what? I got a euthanasia appointment set up. They're like, and you want, and I want my dog to be comfortable in his last 48 hours. They're like, here are all of the drugs.
Send him off to
Here's a
space first.
Here's a question: what kind of drugs did you get?
I didn't really even look, but they're working. I know that.
Are they the kind that you can
Who are they
take if you have
For
leftovers?
whom are they working?
Oh yeah, they didn't offer like any like ketamine or anything like that.
Dude, I was playing beer pong with a pharmacist the other day, and just like out of nowhere, he's just like, you know what? We'll cure the world? Fuck ketamine, bro.
Elon Musk certainly ingests a bit of it. Phillippe, where are you?
Who's got his number?
Yeah, who's got his number? Anybody who's got Philippe's number out there, go ahead.
Post it publicly.
He might just be watching this and going, I can't top dog euthanasia and beer pong with the pharmacist and ketamine. Nowhere to go but down, honestly.
So here's first off, not a huge drinker, but also like beer pong came like after I was in college.
That's
So
not
I've
That's
never
horse shit.
That's not possible. When did you go to college? 1942?
No, at least
He went to college before solo cups and tables.
like
All right, let's look. Now I'm looking up when the solo cups were invented.
all right, go for it. So no, I like nobody. Like I went to keggers.
Beer pong. It originated in the U.S. in like the 50s or 60s.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know
How
that?
old are you?
Do you know that, or are you just saying that?
The fucking internet is telling me that.
Okay, all right, fine.
The game was originally believed to have evolved from the original beer pong played with paddles, which is generally regarded to have had its origins within the fraternities of Dartmouth College in the 50s and 60s. So it was adopted. So beer pong and Beirut were adopted. Names without paddle. Sorry, eventually a version without paddles was invented, and the names beer pong and Beirut were adopted in some areas of the U.S. sometime in the 1980s.
Okay. Well, I'm a boomer.
No, you're not.
I was gonna
No,
say, you're just a few years
You
older
just-
than me, and by the time I went to college, there were 8 different fucking sets of rules depending on where you went for beer pong. Like it was
NBA
all
Jam.
it was well established.
Yeah.
It
I
wasn't
think it just
in
speaks
its
to Ryan
infancy.
wasn't invited to parties.
Oh, I think he probably was.
Whoa. He was just playing for everyone else having a good time.
no, I went to lots of keggers.
I hope everybody enjoys this Mingus tune. Oh God, yeah.
I went to keggers and we just got drunk. with
Somebody
normal-
said, so it's like I'd rather do.
Oh God, I just learned how to play giant steps at the normal tempo. Oh God. My name is. I bet they don't know I can play over all these changes. You know, it's cool.
I didn't. Just for the record, I didn't like party with the music school kids. Like, I just saw them in class. Afterwards, I hung out with normal people who did normal things. I think. Mark, show us your new guitar while we wait for Phillippe.
He's not coming.
Ooh, it's pointy.
All right, talk about
Got a
it. Tell me.
20. Oh, it's a 2001 baby. Got it from Guitar Center on the cheap. Put in that FU Tone Floyd. It came stock, or it came to me with an EMG 8185, so I don't have to do nothing about that. Put some stainless steel frets in it the day I got it, and I'll tell you what, I've just been shredding this thing, man.
Can I
I'm
ask you?
over here playing some yeah songs. Don't have to know any theory for that.
Can I ask you? Oh, hold on. I gotta.
You just go.
On the way. Just got the kid to sleep. What did I say?
Just got the boy to bed. Let's do this shit.
So can I ask you a question, like Mark?
Yeah.
Like stainless steel frets is not a thing that a lot of guitar brands like just kind of do, right? How much more expensive is it to do stainless steel frets than it is to do nickel or whatever the hell it is that everybody does?
How much more is it, or how much more should it be?
How much more? Like as far as the cost, and is the process different then? Like is the process of putting in stainless steel frets more labor intensive than nickel?
The answer about the cost difference is that it is exactly the margins that you charge to do it.
It is. The market will regulate itself, bro. Anyway, my finger on this hand doesn't work anymore, and it's technically $100, but it should be like, honestly, like for what you get, and as far as an investment and all that shit is concerned, it should probably be an extra $300-400, honestly. So, I mean, a stainless steel refret from a reputable source should cost you about $1,000, $900 to $1,000.
Why? Why? I don't understand.
Well, a regular refret with a setup and a new nut, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the other accoutrement that you fucking do that goes unnoticed in a refret usually ends up being about $650-700. Stainless steel is hell on your hands, not on your tools. And you have to be very, very, very fucking good at what you do in order to get stainless steel frets into a fingerboard.
So
your radius has to be like dead nuts perfect.
Huh.
It's a common question that you get to: does it wear your strings faster?
If you have to ask that, you should change your strings more often.
Yep. If you have to ask that, you should change your strings more often.
Okay.
You should be changing your strings once a month, once every 2 months. Yes, it wears the strings down faster. No, it doesn't fucking matter in the grand scheme of things because strings are $6. Unless you buy string joys for no fucking reason. Sorry to everybody affiliated with String Joy here.
We need to apologize. They're not paying.
There you go. Anyway, a pack of D'Adarios, which sound better and last longer, is $6.
You think that was longer?
Fuck yes.
No. Because I know Scott's not watching this, but my whole reason for playing string joy strings is like I feel like I change to them less. I feel like they last longer. That's it. That's the only.
Yeah, by the time you get through the razor wire feel of them, they're already dead. So.
Wow, man.
Yeah, they feel rough.
Yeah, they don't feel good. They're not a joy to play.
I was using the NYXLs for a long time, like the whatever those D'Addario ones are. D'Addario.
No, those are the same. Those are the same price as string joys.
Yeah.
Look at this guy right here.
Hey.
How you doing,
I made it. Oh, thanks, guys.
What's up,
Glad to
buddy?
see you.
What's up, man?
Whoa, WJB's here.
Yeah, we're all here. Hey, you
This
got
is a good crew.
you got the spin drift going, my friend. I see that,
Dude. And in your honor, man. In your honor.
Just triggered me. Is that the lemonade, the pink lemonade?
No, this is grapefruit.
Oh, the
Grapefruit's the best one.
It's really good. I'm a big fan.
I spend they're 8 in a pack, and I find myself going to the grocery store daily for spin drift. And here they're $6 a pack. And so the amount of money that I spend on spin drift is probably equivalent to like if I smoke cigs, like it's the same thing.
Outstanding.
Yeah. How are you, man? I feel like we had you on maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's great.
It has been a while.
Great to be back.
Yeah. You just signed on with some old friends of mine. At Mass Distro. So
Welcome to the team, bud.
It's nice to be there.
Welcome.
I'll tell you. I remember, in the early days when it was just me and Sayer, he always talked about wanting Mark.
What's up?
We can hear your guitar.
Very much.
Oh,
so.
sorry. I play in 311.
In the early days of Matt's Distro, we talked about wanting to get you guys Caroline a lot. But you played hard to get for a long time.
We did. It's I think interesting. It's pretty great. I think it was something that we just needed to do at this point in time. And plus, I've gotten to know you over the years. I've gotten to know Sayer over the years. It's just been like, it's nice. And also so many friends working with Mass and stuff.
You're right. Mass Distro is arguably a different company than when it was just me and him smoking pot and selling pedals. So there's that as well. But that's really exciting.
It's pretty great. Wait, did you smoke marijuana cigarettes?
All day, every day. Now that it's legal here, I can say that.
Wow. I'm in South Carolina where they're like busting dispensaries or CBD shops for selling Delta 8.
Oh, that just kind of gives you a headache. You just all you're doing is you're saving people from a proper headache.
The mild lift is too dangerous, So
it's not legal in South Carolina, right?
No. Yeah. I feel we when I moved to South Carolina, to give you an idea of how backwards the place is, places had to serve alcohol in mini bottles, like airline.
Well, you weren't like 3-2 though, right?
I'm sorry.
It wasn't like a 3-2 state, right? I mean, like 3-2 states that's a weird thing in and of itself.
What's a 3-2 state?
Kansas used to be a 3-2 state.
Yeah, 3-2 state means they like the most alcohol content that there could be in beer is 3.2%.
What? Almost. Yeah. Now this was just more weird backwardness where they're trying to prevent large consumption of things, so they didn't allow like the selling of the big bottles.
The
the
big 12 ounces.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it was all in mini bottles and stuff. So they're making like if you got a Long Island iced tea, you'd have to pay $15 or something because they'd open
the twisted tea, pour half out.
Yeah.
$15. I'm sorry, $15 is supposed to be a lot for a cocktail.
In 2003,
Are you fucking kidding me, Eddie?
Yes.
He lives in Manhattan. It costs $15. It costs $15 to tie your shoes.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Actually, I calculated. I've never done this, but I should calculate like what it takes me to use the bathroom, like how much money I pay to use the bathroom every time I use the bathroom. Just like figure out the square footage of my bathroom and then like relative to my rent, and then how often I use the bathroom on a monthly basis. And then
sounds like a super good use of time.
Well, it's still better than what I'm doing right now.
Don't you have like $80 parking tickets and stuff?
It's $65 and it's cheaper than a garage.
When
like the height of the pandemic, we got my in-laws' car from Jersey, and so we have alternate side parking here, where like a street cleaner truck will come around, and then you got to move your car to like the other side of the street while they clean that side of the street. But if you don't, you get a ticket. The ticket was like 60, and like it was twice a week on our street. They suspended it during COVID to once a week, and then like we had a choice. It was either leave work at home, like leave what we were doing, and like disrupt like 3 hours of our time to do this thing, or pay $65. And it was cheaper than going to a garage, and we were just like, fuck it, just pay the $65 because a garage is like $800 to $1,000.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, when I the brief time I lived out there, I parked my my Volvo 240 in a questionable lot in Long Island, and I didn't see it again. Is somebody watching TV? What the hell is that?
Is it me again?
I
don't know. Are you watching the fucking RNC? Like what?
Let me just,
what am I listening to?
See, I muted Mark, and now it's gone.
Yeah, it's definitely Mark.
Son of a bitch.
Got him.
Yeah, the TV's on in the other room.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's too loud. It's too loud.
God damn it.
It's too loud for the amazing.
Turn the TV the fuck down.
Yeah,
exactly. There are nursing homes with TVs quieter than that.
I'm a really loud TV watcher.
My in-laws not only watch television loud, but they also have to have the captions on at the same time because they're like, we can't hear it. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Have you ever thought of putting going into your I don't know if y'all deal with this with any of your in-laws, not to get too political, but have you ever thought of going into your TVs and activating the parental settings to block them from like Fox News, Newsmax, and OAN? I just know if I did that, I would have like, oh my God, all of these went off the network. Hillary must have shut them all down.
So you're actually bringing me to a discussion I wanted to have with you, Phillippe.
What the fuck is that conversation?
Yep, here we go.
Oh boy, it's gonna get dangerous.
So,
Project 25.
Right. I mean, we're gonna maybe. So
the deep state always wins. Popped up. That's great.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about so I listen to a lot of sports radio, right? Like, I'm sorry, I do. I'm one of those who can play music and appreciate sports. And for a long time, sports radio was kind of a place where you could get away from talking about politics. It was a great, like, just break from that. Is crisp and clear.
Wait, can you hear the TV?
No.
Good.
But I have found that my local radio shows are often talking about politics now, and I mean it's a Minnesota-based radio station, so it's clearly a lefty bent, but one of the things I have struggled with as a creator of content that people absorb is whether or not to bring my personal politics into what I do and to be vocal about it or not. And the reason that I have kind of shied away from doing so. I mean, I think if you watch this show specifically, you're going to get it, but otherwise you're not going to hear from me on much. And part of it is like, I don't want to alienate potential subscribers or followers or things like that. And you've made the decision to go like, this is my politics, and I am going to be loud about it. I'm going to be proud about it, and I'm going to talk about it. And what you end up risking is alienating potential customers, correct? So there's a financial impact, to doing that. And I just wanted to hear you out on just kind of how you came to, or if you even thought about it, like if there even was an option.
That's a great question, because I think, okay, well, first off, I can get why people would be bothered, because, man, I find like I groan when I think I saw one guitar company owner or something, or builder. And I just remember just groaning once when he was wearing like a Hillary calls me deplorable shirt. And I was like,
Sure. Right.
What are we getting into?
I threw the shirt away, Phillippe.
I know it was Halloween, dude. I know it was Halloween. I mean, you also had your sunglasses, and you built a set that resembled like a pickup truck around, so you could walk around like you were podcasting all the time. No, I mean, I get why it sort of bugs, but I mean, it's free country. People can believe and express what they want to. I shied away from it for a long time, and I still try not to impose it too much on anyone, because I mean, once the goods belong, I try to make this point that once the goods belong to you, it's really just has our brand on it, you know? Like, I mean, it's just like what you do with the pedal, what you do with the guitar, what you do with the amp is entirely up to you, and it's yours now. You just bought something that we made. There's no more money to this. There's no more transaction happening here. And then, you know, I get brushback, but the thing I've noticed is like the brushback is usually like, I mean, I remember when we did a donation for the Trevor Project, which I just thought was just like incredibly basic and noble. You know, you're just trying to prevent
100%.
young LGBTQ youth from not harming themselves, right? I think that's like a really fundamental thing. I remember I got some nasty blowback, but honestly, I thought it was almost like, say, like 50-2 in terms of the emails that we would get, like overwhelmingly positive and a little bit negative. So I just felt comfortable doing that. And, you know, I tried to distinguish a little bit between like what I personally believe and what the product is, because the product does not have feelings, you know.
Fair enough.
It's a product, you know, and my obligation, even if the person has beliefs that are very different than mine, is to still give them a really good experience and take care of the product and let them rock out. You know, that's what it kind of comes down to. I mean, it's like, and I kind of try to make this point, like, hey, you might disagree with what I have to say. I might disagree with what you have to say, but I did make a promise to you that if you bought our stuff, we'd fix it if it gets broken, right?
Sure.
Right. Help you get it working. We do, you know, we want you rocking out as best as we can.
Right. Yeah. A megabyte is not going to turn. A megabyte isn't going to turn you into a flaming liberal.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. And like I've laughed about this. I was like, we can all say we don't want to eat Chick-fil-A, but damn it, if you're on the road and you've got like, you're hungry and you've got angry kids in your car and you just need a place for them to sit and shut the fuck up and eat some chicken. Guess what? Like if there's a fucking chicken restaurant run by a bunch of liberals, I'd fucking go there. But right now there's Chick-fil-A. It's fucking delicious, and everyone's gonna shut the fuck up and eat some chicken. Okay?
I think Michael Page.
Hey, somebody's speaking the truth around here, and it's Michael Page. See, Taco Bell has always remained apolitical, except they are a in the 90s they had that Chihuahua spokesman. So,
yeah,
glean what you will from that.
My dad.
I think Taco Bell is political though, because giving everyone diarrhea is definitely a fucking right.
Well, you just haven't eaten enough.
You need to push all the diarrhea out. You know, the only way out is through when it comes to
you got to build a little
diarrhea.
5-layer beef biodome inside you.
I love Taco Bell. I eat an insane amount of Taco Bell. But my father, my parents growing up, we didn't talk about politics at all. And my dad, kind of once we came into the now world where everybody is willing to tell you what their political stance is. He became very uncomfortable with it. And, like I remember having conversations with him where he was like, in my day, we didn't talk about politics. And I grew up kind of like thinking that politics didn't matter. And therefore, like when I reached my 20s and started to vote, like that it was like this like wave of like, oh, this does matter. And so I feel like, like we talk about, like, remember when people didn't talk about politics before? I don't know that anybody necessarily knew what was going on at the same time. Like it wasn't valued the same way that it is valued now. And as much as the discourse sucks, right? The public discourse, as much as that sucks, we're talking about it. And so that may be more positive than not.
I'd be curious, like what some different people think about this, because I think, to be candid, I think as someone who was raised, I'm half Asian, but I'm white passing, and as a white,
that's gonna be my son. So,
yeah. I mean, and it wasn't a thing I realized until, I would hear people just say shit in high school where I'm like, holy shit, they don't fucking know that I have a Vietnamese mom, but like I say this as like a white passing or whatever thing like that, but I mean it. It's like, I think a lot of people, I think that speaks to maybe the fact that, like, as white upper middle class people, that a lot of things you're buffered from in experience, and I think as the dialogue is opened up, we hear a whole bunch of different perspectives that, when I hear, let's not keep this political, I think it's, it's almost like it takes for granted a whole bunch of stuff. Like when people say they don't want sports to be political, we're only going to have like God Bless America on the 7th inning, and we're going to have a military flyover, and the halftime show is going to be a big Marines recruitment thing, and so that's
it's kind of like there's a phrase that goes around with session musicians where they say, if it's not about the money, it's about the money. Yeah. And that kind of fits the same thing. Yeah. Like, let's not talk about politics in sports while we bombard you with politics. I mean, it's absolutely, that is 100%. That's 100% a thing. And,
but I'm going to cut to I'll be blunt about a political thing. Okay. Like, people who are big on germanium fuzzes fucking suck. Seriously, like, people who insist on germanium and PNP and fucking using weird ass power supplies. And,
it's the battery only ones that make me weird.
Battery only.
Speaking of that,
bunch of fucking fascists.
Are you telling me that our Lord and Savior Eric Johnson is wrong about using batteries that are 48% depleted?
Eric Johnson
wrong about same-sex marriage too.
Eric Johnson famously used a silicon buzz face, but
the battery thing, I think it has some point to it, because he was using old carbon things that were 10.5 volts. So I think that did have something to it, but
every fuzz I have that has like the whatever voltage regulator thingy, the bias knob, that's a real thing. I mean that's real.
comment on Instagram was make fuzz silicon again.
Oh
yeah.
So don't get me started on tape delay too, man. Ooh. Tape delay, gatekeeping motherfuckers.
I've always been a digital guy.
Hold on. What's your problem with tape delay?
No, I don't have a problem with tape delay.
I'm just turning
Oh
the
yeah,
block
now that I'm
out.
challenging you, you're backing down.
What tape
man.
delay?
That's right, I am.
Oh,
That's right, I am.
So I've actually thought a lot about this. I don't necessarily like if you have a preference of germanium over silicon, that doesn't bug me. It bugs me when you think you know which specific transistor is gonna be better than another one. And I think that when we go back and blame the fact that we have people who are not electrical engineers on TGP and other places who will spend gobs and gobs of money for something made from Newmarket, and pissing on anything that isn't that. I think when we go back in history and go, who started that shit? It's gonna be Analog Mike is the one who fucking taught everybody that
Heirs the Newmarket family fortune.
that some germanium transit, and like, did you see how hard that guy had to fucking pivot when he couldn't get any NTK 25s or whatever? Like, I mean, like,
Red's just as good. White's just as good.
The idea that parts matter as much as people think they do, not the brain behind it who's tuning it, or any, that transistor matters so much. I blame that 1000% on Analog Mike.
Is that Analog Man?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. What you, Eddie?
Don't say it with such contempt. I'm sitting here waiting my turn, respectfully raising my hand, and you're just anyway. So what does it mean to tune a pedal, like the tune a fuzz, right? What does that mean? Because it's like I'm not an engineer. I once did a DIY like solder your own pedal, but it was like Lego by the numbers. It was like put this here, and I was like, now it's a rack. I was like, this looks pretty easy. What does it mean to tune a fuzz? Like, what sets one fuzz face that's not tuned well apart from a fuzz face that is tuned well? Like, what does that even mean?
In my opinion, it's basically two resistors, right? There's a feedback resistor that feeds from the second transistor back to the first, and then there's a bias. There's biasing on the collector on the two, which a fuzz face is a fuzz face is
a shitty example.
It's beautiful. It's kind of beautiful how it works because there's a lot of 60 circuits that work this way. Wah-wah pedals work this way. There's like basically push and pull between two things, right? And you're basically controlling how much back and forth is between the two and how you balance the two, if that makes sense.
How are you controlling it? Is it like the value of the components that you're using, or like? Mm-hmm. And so what's a good? So if a fuzz face is a bad example because there are like three components to it, what's a good example of like something that you're tuning that like you have to tune? And then I want to ask that question both for analog and then for like DSP.
Sure. So for fuzz face is actually an excellent example of something you can tune.
Oh, sorry.
If you and I, I'm sorry, Ryan. No. I think a fuzz face.
That's okay, Ryan.
I think a fuzz face is a great example of something you can tune because you see how changing the balance between these two things really changes stuff, right? And this is where, first off, I'm a fan of Analog Mike because he gave me useful advice when I started in this business. And second,
he's like only use Newmarket.
Only, but he also has rocked a more lo-fi, less Wi-Fi T-shirt. Friends and commerce pals, and I've bought some Analog Man pedals and stuff. But like it really, if you were to put on a breadboard, you'd see it pretty quickly. Like, oh, you change this, but then you want to change this, and you balance the two things out. And then you also have to deal with the fact that like the gain ranges on transistors are so different. Like it really is wild. So then you want to kind of adjust for what you're cooking with to make it work. Which is why a silicon fuzz face and a germanium one do sound different. But they're also amazing sounding silicon fuzz faces. I have to say, especially the stuff that Dave Fox has done at Fox Rocks. The silicon stuff that he does is awesome. I mean, it's really cool. And he did fuzz faces for Crest Audio in the 80s that are really great. I studied one. It has some tweaks and stuff. So there is something to that. I think there is.
I mean, the Hawaiian pizza is a silicon fuzz face, and
kind of, yeah.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah, no, I mean it's sort of between a fuzz face and like the there's a color sound circuit as well that's sort of fuzz face based that you've seen other people mess with. And so this is kind of, it sort of has a little bit of that color sound thing, but then with the pickup simulator and the voltage sag and stuff, it's a bit different.
It's a no matter where you turn the knobs, it's gonna sound good. And that's the thing I love about that pedal is like it sounds great across the board. And I have a vegetable pizza. I think I have a couple other ones too. And
you had the variations, and they're cool.
Yeah,
they're
great.
There is a subtle difference among the transistors because they push different gain ranges, and they push each other differently, which is kind of cool.
Absolutely.
But Eddie, you were asking on the digital phase. Fuck if I know.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck if I know. I mean, it's like to me, if I get a digital component now, it's basically like, okay, well, how the fuck do I fit this in with everything around? It's basically like, how do I make this not shitify everything?
Yeah.
You know?
So I forgive my ignorance, but like, do you have to go in and like program the damn thing? Like, are you sitting there on a computer being like, like writing code, or is there like a user interface that you're using to like to program like what a digital component is going to do? Like I have no idea how this works.
Well, with some pedals you do, and with some pedal, I don't have any in my line that require that, but a lot of the stuff out there is using programmable chips. There's one chip that's kind of common that a lot of companies like Old Blood and Mr. Black and a bunch of companies have used. And then there's another set of chips that like Walrus and Strymon and different people have used and stuff like that. I don't do anything with that. I use kind of discrete digital things that are sort of like, this is the shitty digital thing that this thing does. And then I just find a way to shoehorn it in to an analog frame. If that makes sense.
So can you give an example?
So a lot of delay chips, we like our delay Kilobyte uses a 2399 delay chip, which is an old delay chip they used to see in Dan Electro stuff in the 90s. And then you'd see they're using the 2396, and then it was the 2399 was a little bit easier to work with. A lot of stuff from like Dr. Scientist did 2399 stuff as well. Matt Farrow at Alexander did 2399 stuff in the early 2000s.
I'm glad you asked, Eddie. 2399, does that mean anything to you?
Is that the delay chip that was also found in like karaoke machines or whatever? Or
that's the karaoke machine thing. And so it sort of is, it operates.
Hey, Ryan, over 2.
Yeah, you own me. Me.
You got it. But it's like it's basically operates as a it's a digital thing, but you control it with analog controls, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like this. If you limit the current that goes here, it changes the delay time. If you build this circuit around, you build a feedback loop, so you control the number of repeats. If you mess with this, it'll detune. It does things like that. So it's kind of the reason it became so. You now see a lot of people who do circuit bent stuff. Like, I don't know if you've seen the stuff from like Deep Space Devices.
Yeah,
Clint. But like,
that dude's nuts.
I haven't.
Yeah. So that guy, like Clint is like a good example of this. There's sort of a little bit of a world of people. Like we do a bunch of stuff with 2399s, and then there's a world of people who almost circuit bend with it, where they just are constantly, they're not even interested in making it do echoes, if that makes sense. They're just interested in what happens when it just gets fucked up, when you voltage starve it, when you do weird shit to it. So it's kind of a cool, that's what I mean by it existing in that sphere. And then when you're tuning that thing, you're still doing what I would consider analog tuning. So you're like, okay, well, how do we control the power to it? How do we control the EQ to it? How do we control the gain and bandwidth of the thing? If that makes sense. It's like you're thinking of it almost like, imagine if it's almost like your CD player and your old home stereo is digital, but it still has to go through analog EQ and analog speakers and all this stuff. So how do you to work with what you do?
Sure.
The reason I'm asking, just aside from the fact that you're super knowledgeable and I've always been curious about it, is that like kind of like Ryan said, when you're either uninitiated or not, or you're more into it, and you're going through the forums, and they're like, oh well, this pedal's no good because they use the blah chip or this or such and such transistor, right? Or whatever component. It's like,
oh yeah, they're total digital chip snobs. Yeah, totally.
No, but it's also like these. It sounds like it's all part of a recipe. It's kind of like when people are like about guitars, it's like, oh well, that rosewood fretboard makes that guitar sound a lot warmer. It's like, you don't. That's not. That's such a weird thing. That's such a weird discrete thing. That look at Sean smiling. That's such a weird discrete like thing to pick on. That like is one ingredient in a whole host of ingredients that make up the thing that you're playing. So like, it's just good to hear like that there is in fact like, you can put the components in, but then you have to do something with them. It's not just the components.
All right. Well, guys,
I'd be curious asking Mark and Sean about this stuff as well, because like I find this really, a lot of this reminds me of guys who like you do pickup winding and then have to make a guitar or incorporate a pickup into a guitar. Like what do you guys do when you're like, like what if do people ever get stinky about shit like magnets and pickups and stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? There's what I tell them is, well, they're all variables. The rosewood maple thing, yes, you can kind of predict what happens. Pickup magnets, you can kind of predict what happens, but really it's the sum of all the parts. So, like, say somebody wants a twangy 50s style telly or something like that. Traditionally, that would be an Alnico 3 magnet. What they actually probably want is an Alnico 5, because Alnico 3 kind of sounds like shit. They're using a modern amp. They're using a Hot Rod DeVille or a Matchless or something, or a Silk Tone or something like that. The Alnico 3 isn't going to translate the same way that what they're used to hearing is going to translate. So you kind of, without telling them, you kind of take all that shit into consideration, and make your final judgment call.
I'll never forget the first time I spec'd out a guitar with someone who really was kind of like, you don't have any idea what you're talking about. And it was Yaniv from Bunting Guitars, and what I did,
I was just gonna say that same thing with me. But go on,
I filled out the form, online, and hit all the specs that I had read about and all of this shit, and then he insisted that we talk, like we do a video talk and talk about the specs that I had spec'd out, and what I ended up with was completely different, and I love it. But he was just kind of like, you read this shit somewhere and decided that it was what you wanted, and he was
bingo
1000% correct. And like
Sounds like you talking to me and Sean for the first time.
Yeah, remember I wanted the dummy coil and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, and you guys were princes about it. Like you guys were like, okay, well we'll look into that when the time comes, and whatever.
Oh my god, we'll look into that. Is such a man. It's like.
That's the biggest Trump thing ever. Like, what do you want to do about the Earth crumbling? He's like, well,
we're looking at that and a bunch of other things.
Right, exactly.
We're looking at that and many other things that we might be looking into. Yes,
we'll have a conference call about racism. Whatever. Yeah.
We had to have a conference call about racism on your first build, man. It was pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, no, it's you guys were far more gentle about it than Yaniv was. Yaniv was just like, yo.
Now I want to know what you asked for initially compared to what you got.
I don't remember. And so now when I go spec out a guitar, it's really funny when I go spec out a guitar, and you guys know this. I mean, like with you guys, I can just go, give me what I like.
Give me dealer's choice, motherfucker.
Yeah.
As long as it's not red.
Yeah. As long as it's not red, I don't give a shit. But so now when I do talk to other builders, when I spec out guitars, I talk less about what I think gets me to the thing I want and talk about the thing I want. So it's like, what do you want? I want a telly bridge that doesn't sound thin. Okay. What what do you, I want this, I want that, I want it to feel comfortable when I do this, I want it, whatever. And then let them make the decision as to what the prescription is to solve that thing, rather than me like armchair quarterbacking it and trying to figure out what that is based on my absolute zero knowledge of building guitars,
right,
so
we know like the end result that we want, be it in feel or in sound. Right. And we try to like work backwards from that, but we have no fucking I literally texted Mark and so I want to get a scythe, and I was talking to Mark and Sean today. I was like, is it possible to do like a telly that plays like a Strat? And they probably got this message and they're like, I think he's high at 11 in the morning.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
And I was like,
let's see what we can do about that.
I was like, I don't know, motherfucker, you use nines?
Yeah. I was like, there's a thing I don't like. I know I don't want this feel that I have from some of my other, I have other tellies. Like, I know I don't want this feel. And they were basically like, what you're experiencing is not a problem with us. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Now I read this comment. Now I'm just curious. What did Jared ask for fret wire?
I don't remember. And it was I was just looking at it the other day.
Jared.
And was it wider? Was it wider than normal? I don't remember.
Scallop.
I feel weird. That's one of those specs I do not care about.
Maybe he was like, I want the normal fret wire that everybody wants.
Yeah.
I like everything from the very smallest to the very largest. That is my range of fret wire that I like.
Man, have you ever had? Did any of you ever go through the macho fret wire thing where I was like, I gotta have the fattest fucking fret wire. Like, I think I had 6,000 fret wire or whatever, like P-base fret wire on the Strat for a hot minute. Yeah.
Like jumbos?
Jumbos, baby.
Jumbo.
I've got jumbos on my red Strat behind me here. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. So I had jumbos on my white parts caster for a long time, and then all of a sudden they finally wore out. It was time for like the third refret. Yeah, and I just was like, I got to be honest, man. Like the last year or two of it, I was like, I need something different than this. But like, I did enjoy some jumbo for a while.
My issue with jumbo was that my fretting hand, like I pushed too hard, and so like I would bend notes all the time, and so I had to finally cut it. Like, but I mean, if I were a guitar player that had like really great dexterity and could, like Ingve with scalp frets, I would push that fucker all the way down. I don't have the thing. So I can't do the jumbo frets, but I like on paper, I get why those are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like a lot of these things is like, that's why I was asking you guys. This stuff is like, a lot of this is like kind of cooking towards a whole, like towards an outcome, So it's like, part of the reason we did Hawaiian pizza is like John Snyder and I talked about this when I was working on this. So I was like, I want to incorporate this and this and this. And candidly, I think, just my opinion, I can be wrong, but just my opinion, having messed with these fuzzes, I think voltage and gain is more important than silicon versus germanium. Fair enough. If I can get consistent 100%. Silicon parts and I can control for voltage and I can control for gain, if we can put that in the player's hands as opposed to the designer's hands, then I think we'll have a cool fucking pedal and people will enjoy it. And then they'll be able to say, oh, I enjoy it. Plus, it's like a fuzz face that I don't have to worry about where it is in the chain. It can go anywhere. They've compensated for the volume loss that sometimes happens. And I can control the gain. Like the pig control on a Hawaiian pizza is just the volume control on your guitar, but controlling a fake pickup inside the guitar, inside the pedal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's basically, we put an inductor in. It's a fake guitar pickup. That's literally, they're like, how did you set that fake pickup? I'm like, I measured the inductance and the DC resistance of a wide range pickup and thought wide ranges are cool, and then put that in. That's it.
Yep.
Like, and then I was like, that'll be good. And then I'll do a control that's from a wide range, like the volume control from a wide range. And then the rest is like, okay, now we control for voltage. Now we control for gain. And then like that was more important to me. Now, to somebody like, I don't know if y'all are familiar with like that guy, DJ Lava Lamp, the R2R electric.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff is great. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
I think he would disagree with me and he'd have a pretty good case because he is one of those guys who's hunting down germanium transistors from old organs that, or stuff that old radio parts that got destroyed and blah, blah, blah. And he puts together recreations of things that couldn't have existed from parts that are parts that are, all old enough to call the police whenever a person of color is in their neighborhood. But like, it's just the, I mean, all those parts.
Just slip that on. Just slid it right in there.
Yeah, there you go.
That was good.
Yeah, but it is just but all those parts, that's what he has sourced out. That is his thing. Is like, it is hunting down these really valuable, difficult things, even down to the to things that I think shouldn't make a difference, like emitter resistors and stuff, right? But that is his equation on this, Like, I mean, I think a lot of people all have sort of the different math as to what they think matters and how it cooks, I've been on this weird fucking hunt lately that everyone here would appreciate. I've been buying weird noiseless pickups that people swore by from like between 30 and 50 years ago.
Lay sensors?
Right? Oh, we're doing a lay sensor video shootout.
Nice.
Where we're talking about how lay sensors are misunderstood. That's the big thing, as we're saying, is like, I think people.
They sounded good.
So here's the thing. I think people
Depends
thought
on the
they
color,
sounded
right?
bad.
Illumitones sound good. Those are lace.
Yeah. They thought they sounded bad because they didn't sound like single coils at that time, right? But then I've been hearing a lot of footage, like you hear old 90s recordings of like Sugar, like Bob Mould is playing a Strat with lace sensors. He sounds great. You hear Billy Corgan Smashing Pumpkins footage from that time. Like, he sounds great. There is something to it.
Johnny
so you just got to take it. You got to take your lace sensors and run them through big muffs. Like, is what you're telling me.
Pretty much.
You run them through big muffs, or you run them through weird amps and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like they work. And then the other, like, I think there's I don't want to spoil the point of the video, but I think the big takeaway I stumbled into is that the string pull is so light, like the gauss, the magnetic gauss of the lace sensors is so low.
GAUSE.
Or GAUSS, I think it is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so low that what messes with people is that they sound like single coils, but the feel on the Strict Attack is like a humbucker. And that's what's messing with people is like, they're like, oh, it's not like that, like a single coil. It's not snapping like a single coil. Yeah. It's got like this like pillowy give on the pick attack at first. That's more like a humbucker. But they sound really good. And they also, I think the other thing that got people is they didn't realize that the different color of the print on the lay sensor was different pickups. They just thought that was just like marketing. And so they're grabbing a red lace sensor, which is meant to be almost like
I got 3 reds in mine.
Yeah. You got 3 reds?
I got 3 reds, and my other one has 2 golds and a blue in it.
That's your country one.
I have a guy who has, I have a friend and customer who has a 79 Strat that is like, it's exactly what you imagine the 79 Strat. It's like natural with a black guard, and he's got 3 black lace sensors, and of course it's red, silver, and blue. And it looks, and it's like the thing is kind of like America fuck yeah 70s Strat, you know?
Hell yeah.
Weighs 12.5 pounds.
I bet it does.
Chiropractor Stratocaster, you know? And,
oh man.
You know, and it's funny because like if you try to play if you try to play something like Couldn't Stand the Weather by Stevie Ray Vaughan on that thing, you sound like you're like chopping meat. You know, it's just like you know, it's just like you sound like you're playing with like a rubber mallet, you know, it's just not right at all. Not fucking close. But if you play like Crazy Horse stuff on it, you're like, this is pretty fucking cool. Or you kind of play metal on it, it's kind of cool. You know? Like it's just a different it's a different thing. And I love it, man. It is like, but I bought a set. This is how deep in the well I is. Have any of y'all ever heard of Evans pickups?
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh, someone has.
I've heard of Evans pickups.
Yeah. So Jeff Healy used them in the late 80s, early 90s.
Holy crap. This is the second week in a row that Jeff Healy has come up. What are the odds?
Yep. Yep. So like Rod Evans was a guy in Canada who made them for like a few years in the 90s. People either swore by them or hated them. And so I just had to know. I was like, shit, there's a chance.
It's the same shit as like Rio Grandes or Velvet Hammers and shit like that. Like there's these like what we would consider boutique builders in the day. Like it wasn't as big of a thing in the 90s, and they're just some guys doing it, you know?
Oh, I remember
Rio Grande pickups.
Yeah. Or Van Zant. Do you remember Van Zant?
Van Zant are pretty fucking decent. They're still around. Yeah. I just did a strat with Van Zant in it not too long ago. Like I get what they're going for, but like you have to have a pretty substantial guitar rig in order to make a Van Zant pickup sound good. Mm-hmm. Like you got to be able to push a Van Zant or have enough headroom to make a Van Zant sound right.
Yep.
If that makes any sense, because they're so concerned about not pushing an amp and letting the guitar do the talking that they kind of miss this middle ground in my opinion.
Yeah.
But they're good pickups.
Yeah, they're very good. They were cool. I saw those in Texas in the 80s and then the guy passed away and then his son eventually took it back over.
Yeah.
But it was like it's such there was kind of a world. I was trying to explain this to somebody as well. There was a world kind of pre-internet where these people all sort of existed, and it's almost like back in the day when beer, like Smoking the Bandit is about this. Like beer could only be sold regionally where you had the licenses. So it's like Smoking the Bandit is all about like these guys in the West Coast want to have Coors, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, or these guys in Florida want to have Coors, right? And so it's like, I was laughing because in the 90s, it's like, oh, if you're on the East Coast and you wanted to change your pickups, you'd get Fralin. And if you're on the West Coast, you wanted your pickups changed, you get Lawler.
Yeah.
Or Duncan if you're further south.
Yeah. Like it just sort of was this thing that was like kind of regional.
That's how I feel in Kansas City. Like that's how I feel in Kansas City. Because there's Jean-Bucker, he's about 30 minutes north of me, and then further south there's nobody until you get to Texas, or you go north to like the Dakotas and Minnesota. So like as far as like Kansas City is concerned, like I'm just like I don't make a lot of pickups to ship to people around the country, but I make a shitload of pickups for people in Kansas City. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you're a guy that they can trust. They can make that people will like go like, shit, these guys build great guitars. They put shit in their pickup things. This guy can wind. Fuck yeah. Like for me, like every guitar player I knew in Richmond was all like they just couldn't, no stores in Virginia. I worked for a store in Gloucester, which was like about 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours from Richmond. And we carried DiMarzio. And the reason they carried DiMarzio is basically like, it makes no sense to carry stuff because people just drive to Fralin, drive to go get Lindy Fralin to do it for them in Richmond. Unless they want high gain stuff, and then we'll sell DiMarzio, And I just thought it was interesting. Like people are like, oh, well, there's my local here. Yeah, Lindy Fralin. Like if somebody was like, I need replacements for my J bass or whatever, they're just like, fuck it, I'll just go to Fralin. Unless they really wanted some high gain thing or they're trying to get noise free or some shit, right?
I mean, on a much bigger scale, like I never saw a Sam Ash store until I went on tour the first time. I mean, like we had Guitar Center here, we had Mars Music here. But Sam Ash was not a regional thing whatsoever. And yeah, no, it's I mean, it's like Piggly Wiggly versus Pick and Save versus, like whatever. It's that's a funny thing that I never really thought about before. I think
the internet does change us, and I think it's nice for a company like mine, that we can sell wherever. Companies like you guys have, it's like you can work wherever. But it's like, I think it is interesting that like, there was sort of a regional kind of thing to this. And that's something I'm finding intriguing. Well, even the Bardens I got, like the Bardens was like a DC thing. Like Barden was like a Washington DC thing. And it's funny because I think of Bardens, like I did a video about Bardens and I put those in and it was funny because they're so polarizing. And I was like, I knew within like 3 minutes of putting those things in, I was like, this is not for me. Right. But it was like, I was like, wow, like this is so bright and my ears are hurting and all this stuff. But I think it's so interesting that these things were sort of unapologetically a thing because then I would play shows in DC and it's almost like every opening band that we'd play with or every band that we'd share stage with, it's like every guitar player had Bardens.
Yeah.
That's
and that brings up another thing too. Like did the internet kill the regional band? Remember the regional, like every city had their big 5 bands, that were like, and even before my time, like in the 70s and 80s, like you could make a pretty darn good career being a regional band that, sold records at the local stores and, played the county festivals and made enough to make a living. I don't know if the regional band, and you had no interest in going on tour. Like you were making enough money in Milwaukee, Wisconsin that you had no interest. I don't know, like that's not a thing anymore either.
There is kind of it survives a little bit in places like Texas. There's like Texas country bands that just play Texas.
Yeah,
like because Texas is big enough. Texas is like the size of France. Like they can just sit there and like play Texas all the time. But I'll find the meme and send it to you. Someone sent me a hilarious one about like every regional music scene has these 5 bands. It's like the band that like the band that got signed. Well, and there's a huge band, right? Like there's a huge band. Then there's a band that got signed just because the huge band got signed. They're like, well, clearly we have to get these guys.
Yes, this right here. R.I.P. to all the regional polka stars. Like remember, like from
what up to Ben Curley?
Ben.
Remember
what up, my dude?
Remember John Candy from Home Alone, where he's Home Alone 2, where he's like, you never heard of the Kenosha Kickers? Like we had polka. I mean, like yes, absolutely. That's amazing. That was a great comment. Thank you.
That's an awesome one.
I will go on the record that saying that Ben Curley is one of the nicest, most genuine fucking dudes I've ever met in my life, and I love that dude.
Sweet.
Fuck yeah. Hey, Ben.
Guys, we're at the end of our hour, but there is one thing that I want before we log out. Megan told us ahead of time that she started doing gear demos because of Caroline Guitar Company,
man.
and Megan L is, I mean, like, it's kind of my job to like see what other gear demoers are doing and stuff like that. But I really don't anymore. And if Megan posts something, I'm on it. Like, I watch it. And she's absolutely one of my favorites. And I'm thrilled that she's here. But Megan, can you tell us a little bit about how Phillippe got you into doing gear demos? Because we're all better off for it. We're all better off for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got the Hawaiian pizza when it came out it was black and blue. And that was like the coolest fuzz I had at the time. And I made a demo because I was just recording sounds and sharing them online or whatever, but not like in a demo capacity, just like, here's something I made with this. And Phillippe ended up seeing it and he was like, dude, that's so cool. And at that time in my life, like, not gonna lie, I was like super depressed, like dropped out of school, super depressed. And that message like meant so much to me. Doing something that like music made me smile. Philippe's message like about my music made me happy. And that's when I decided to just keep doing videos.
Megan, thank you.
Crazy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, but it's a nice place sometimes.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Man, I mean it to this day. I meant it then. I'll mean it now. I sent that message because that kicked ass, and your work kicks ass. And I want people to know, while I can, that when their work kicks ass, that they know it, and it delights me to see how you've loved playing. I followed your journey. I followed you getting that SG. I followed, that as it was almost like SG was like this awesome unlocking of like a whole bunch of other stuff in your arsenal. You're freaking. I'm kind of stunned, though he's kind of loathsome at times. I'm kind of stunned that Morrissey just didn't hire you for a tour.
Yeah.
That's a no for me.
Because it's like, because it just you nail. There's like it's first off, like the playing, the use of the sounds, all the stuff was always fucking brilliant. Okay, just the actual musical content. But then there's also just this delight that I see in your playing, where this gets back to what I was saying about the gear doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the people who use it. Right. And I would see these things like, I still rave about that video when you did like 11 chorus pedals and then it's all on at once, and it's like, this is how this stuff gets put to use. It belongs to the player and you embody that. And then the stuff with the SG and stuff and how you play. And then like, just you clearly have that Mar influence. Like that's in your bones, and I laugh about this because like Ryan can testify to this. Everyone here can testify to this. It's like somebody once asked me, like, how come when I play some Soundgarden riffs, sometimes when I'm just fucking around on a video, it sounds so much more like Soundgarden than when they've seen some other people play Soundgarden and they're even playing it note for note right? And it's because like, well, I fucking lived that shit where it's like, it's not even where I'm listening to shit anymore, but like when I think of like Drown Me and You, I'm just thinking like like that is intrinsic to us, the way like people might really feel like a Shakespearean monologue or like the Gettysburg Address or any of these, like this is in our bones, and we can feel that the Mars stuff is in your bones, but also you don't ape Johnny Marr. It's like that's become part of your language, and then you've expanded on it. You know, I find it's really interesting to me as somebody who got into the Smiths in my 40s that all of a sudden I realized, like, oh my goodness, I've loved all these guitar players. I've always loved Johnny Marr. I just was loving all these guitar players who had interpreted Johnny Marr, you know, and then, you know, had kind of taken it. It's like Slash said, Appetite for Destruction is just, he thought he and Duff were trying to write a Motorhead album, right? So it's like, that's their idea of a Motorhead album, you know? And it's like, what you're doing now, it's like, that stuff is now in your bones, but now you've grown, that you have grown as a person and grown muscle and everything around that foundation. And I just love your playing. I've always loved it. I'm so glad you do this. And I'm so glad that doing this and us making gear helped out of a dark place, you know, like it helped you find your sea legs and grow and evolve. We love it.
Oh, I don't know what to say, man. That's so nice. Like, I really, it meant so much to me. Like when you sent that message, and all the support you've always shown. It's like,
yeah,
hell yeah.
Phillippe, you're a dude who has been around a lot in a lot of different avenues, you know, whether it be writing articles for Premier Guitar or whether it be whatever. You are one who I feel like has always felt like you see us. And that is a really, really valuable thing. And, you know, I think, you know, part of that is your ability to be very transparent about who you are and very transparent about your company and very transparent just all over the place. And so it is always a great honor to have you on the show. I try to do it at least once a year. Yeah, huge fan. I mean, I think we all are.
Thanks. It means a ton. And man, it was a blast. It's great to put a name to a face with Blues Lawyer memes. Your shit cracks.
What's up? I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear the praise.
You know, put a face to the name. You know,
it wasn't necessarily praise.
I'm so sorry. It had to be this one.
Did you say put a race to the name?
I'm just doing everything I can to keep my hairline out of the frame. Okay?
Oh my god!
You know? I'm just trying to do it. I'm tilting the camera.
I felt like we were gonna end on this beautiful kumbaya moment, and there it went. No.
Seriously, it's great to.
Yeah,
it's awesome to talk to you too. I'm really glad you came on.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to hang out with us tonight. And gosh, I don't know. Anybody else have anything before we close this out?
I'm gonna stop talking.
All right, that's the best way to do it. See you guys.